What's going on, people? Welcome to the match preview as we head to Stamford Bridge to face Chelsea. Chelsea. A Chelsea side that we haven't beat since 2017. I'm joined by Patrick T and AJ here to discuss that game and more. And make sure to get involved by letting us know your thoughts ahead of the game in the comment section down below. And if you do enjoy the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to not miss out on future Palace content. Gents, by the time we record this, only God knows. Well, by the time it's posted, only God knows what's happened in the Palace world. Because it seems like by the hour, things are changing. Player might be coming in, player might be leaving. So if things are a bit out of date in terms of transfer news, sorry about that, because it's a bit hectic with Palace side of things. But how are we all feeling after a 4-0 win against Norwich? Has the belief come back yet, Patrick?
Not fully, but again, I wasn't downcast after the first two losses anyway, because like I said, there's a lot of circumstances that, obviously losing two players before the last match, playing really well in that first match and getting like a bad VAR decision and, offside decisions and stuff like that. So I wasn't never downcast, but I did think that the Norwich game was important from a psychological standpoint to get guys like Eze and Nketiah and Kamada scoring, keeping that clean sheet. I watched Dean Henderson after. You see how happy he was about the clean sheet. Listen to the post about the manager. He sounded upbeat, and now we transition now to the transfer market where there's a lot of good news going on. So no, I'm positive. I really am.
Yeah, for me, I don't know about you, T, but for me, the first half wasn't great. I know you done the watch along yesterday, and the second half was much better. I mean, if you ask me, if we finished 1-0 and played like we did in the first half throughout the game, I would say the confidence is not there. But what I noticed in that Norwich game, and Glasner mentioned it in his press conference as well, after the second goal, we saw glimpses of the old Palace in terms of the build-up play and the patterns of play. We kind of got it going again. And that is what's given me belief going into the Chelsea game because, I mean, it's been a slow start to the season, even in attack. I know we scored goals, but some of them being offside. And the second half of that Norwich game, we finally clicked. But for you, T, what did it make of like the first half in comparison to the second half? And does it give you a bit more of a belief?
I mean, I agree with you. We definitely played significantly better in that second half than we did the first half. I think one of the big differences we saw in that second half was just being able to put passes together and being a little bit more tidy when it came to finishing things up. In the first half, the one thing that they did really, really well, they pressed really, really well in that first half. They created a lot of turnovers and a lot of opportunities. But once again, we weren't very efficient with our passing, weren't very clinical, and we weren't able to see that goal. But that story definitely changed in the second half. And like you said, we played a little bit more familiar to what we've seen from last season with us. So very much an improved performance overall, but in that transition from the first to second half. I think it similar to what Patrick said. It's like you're not. I don't think you're going to be delusional about where we are, or our improvement, or what we need to be. But it definitely is a morale boost. Gives you some momentum going into a tough match at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think the morale boost, not only to the fans, but to the players as well. It's kind of got us believing again. And to me, my ideal week would have been, of course, beating Norwich, which we've done comfortably, especially in the second half with the goals coming in. So that was 10 out of 10 for me. End the window strong, which it seems like is right now as we're talking, it seems like we're heading in the right direction. And then, all it depends on right now, AJ, for me, is to end the window strong. But I mean, it seems like Nketiah is at the football club, probably announced by the time that this is released. With the new players coming in, there's been talks about where would Nketiah fit in the Chelsea game. Would you change the system a bit, even though it worked against Norwich, such as putting two up front? Or would you keep it as it is since Glasner's joined with, having that one striker and the two number 10s behind him?
It's a good thing you say that, actually, because with Glasner, it's been well documented that he likes to tinker around with the first couple of games of the season, no matter where he goes. So in a position where let's be honest, Chelsea historically would be a free hit anyway, because we don't particularly have a massively great record against them regardless. And then Nketiah's actually got a good record against scoring against Chelsea. And as long as he's fit, why would we not change things up a little bit? Why would we not use it as an opportunity to get things up and running? I think a combination of the result against Norwich, I think we looked a lot more energetic. I felt like the first couple of games of the season, we looked a little bit tired. And also a key factor in there is the rollover of the Euros and the Olympics, especially the likes of Nketiah, Eza, Gay, the sort of more key members of the team. Even Wharton you got to put in there because he was away with the England team as well. So I think a combination of them guys getting themselves up to match speed and the manager being able to get what he wants to get across to the players, and why not add a few, I wouldn't even say extra quality, but different types of quality into the team and give something Chelsea something different to think about. I think it would be the best time to do it anyway. I think it's going to be a free hit regardless. I don't expect to get that much against Chelsea. We haven't had exactly the greatest starts of the season in terms of the Premier League anyway. And then obviously we're going to have that early international break that's going to slow things down, gives us a little bit more time for the manager to work with things. I would say, personally, first half, try out the things that's been going on well for the past couple of games, especially the Norwich one. And then maybe towards the second half, there's nothing wrong with you potentially changing the formation and maybe having two up front or introducing the newer players into the team, depending on to get through the door before the deadline.
What do we think, Patrick, about easing in these players versus bringing them in straight away against Chelsea? Of course, new signings, everyone's excited. Everyone wants to see. It's like having a new toy as a kid. Everyone wants to, you just want to play with your toy. You just want to see what it's like, enjoy it. And now we've got that, new players coming in through the door. Do you think Glasner would put them straight away in the deep end? Stamford Bridge away from home? I mean, Nketiah is a experienced professional we're talking about here, but Lacroix, I doubt he would be fit for the Chelsea game because he'll be out injured. How do you see, Glasner's approach to this game? What do you think he needs to be doing from the last two Premier League games, which we've lost, to this one?
Well, I'm going to disagree with AJ slightly. He's my friend and all, but I'm going to disagree slightly. I don't think that free hit mentality exists in Glasner's world. And I'll just go back to last season. You had the games against Liverpool, Newcastle, Man United, West Ham, top teams, Aston Villa, even though it was the last game of the season. And I don't think he took mentality at all. Well, it's Chelsea in 13 games. So I disagree with that. I think he's going to go out to try and win the game. I think as far as new players, I just can't see this. Barring like an injury where you have no choice but to start a player who's new, I don't think there's any reason to start one of the new players. I think that the best way is to wean them in slowly. I think yesterday's lineup, the lineup versus Norwich was a good one. I would only change maybe the starting midfield center pairing because it was Hughes and Lerma. I forgot already.
No. It was actually
Hughes and Decore, sorry.
Decore.
Right. So maybe obviously one would start with another. Maybe that's Hughes again. Maybe it's Lerma. Maybe it's Decore. But I would definitely want to keep Kamada, Mateta, and Eze together because it's proven that obviously they're starting to build a relationship. Why stop that now? But AJ's right. Second half, if you're down, draw, you want to go for it. Obviously, if you've got a new body in that you want to use in Nketiah as an example, change it up, change formation-wise, change it where you want to do it. But I can't see, honestly, barring, like I said, for example, let's say we don't have a fit centre-back and Lacroix has signed and we have to play him, then yeah. But besides that, I wouldn't want to get a player out there right away. It's a cauldron, and you mentioned it. 13 matches we haven't beaten this club in. I want my players to succeed. I don't want them to go into this atmosphere where they're going to fail right away. So I'd bring them in slowly. Personally, that's how I would do it.
Yeah, I agree as well. When it comes to especially with our new players, they need to get used to each other. And that's the biggest thing. We've got an international break, which I think is going to come good for these new players and for the new players coming back from pre-season, because I know some of them will probably go to international duty, but yeah, I think when it comes down to it, we have to be careful with the expectation with the new players. And Nketiah is going to be expensive signing, so naturally there'll be a lot of expectation. But T, for you, in terms of the first two games to now, what needs to be changed?
Oh, I think we need to, well, one of the things we need to continue to do is press the ball effectively. But I think the thing that we need to see differently in those first two matches compared to like our last one is we just got to be able to, we got to put together passes. We got to be able to string together some passes, and we got to have better finishing. We got to take our chances, because the one thing that we've had in those first two matches, versus Brentford and versus West Ham, is we've had opportunities to score goals. We've had great chances to score goals, and we just didn't take them. And those things can come back to bite you, for sure. So I think more than anything else, when the opportunities present themselves, we need to take them. We need to score goals. I mean, I feel like that's really the one thing that's truly holding us back a lot right now as a team.
I think the midfield is very important. And that is an area I think where we can have more of a serious discussion now that Decore has finally started against Norwich. I mean, in first half especially, we saw signs of why he hasn't played as much minutes. But I personally feel like he grew into the game, especially in the second half. Do we change that midfield? For me, going into the season, it's always going to be Decore and Walton. We haven't seen them play together. We've seen Kamada come off the bench and play alongside Walton in a West Ham game, which didn't work out. We've seen Decore, in fact, come on against Brentford in our first game when we were losing. But I need to see that now. And this, why not now rather than later? Because, I mean, we've got the international break. He started against Norwich. Why don't we go for it, AJ? Do you think it's time to finally unlock that Decore Walton? And if we do, maybe that is the change. Rather than new players, maybe that could be the surprise package to Chelsea. How would they deal with Decore and Walton in midfield, which two players are meant to be press resistant and can pass the ball forward?
Yeah, yes. It's I guess the $1 million question is how fit and ready is Decore? I think everybody, myself included, are fantasized by the idea of obviously having that Wharton and Decore in midfield. But as we have seen with real time, how fit is Decore? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's just a concern of mine that I don't want to give him too much too soon and end up maybe exaggerating an injury. That's my only concern about it. If he is fit and he's good to go, I mean, when you're at a professional footballer level, getting you match fit takes a few weeks at that level, in terms of obviously where you're at. But he does look a lot bigger and he does look a lot stronger. But obviously, being able to run around a football pitch for 90 minutes is a different entity altogether. And that's where my potential concern is. I don't hate the idea, and we're going to have to try it at one point. My concern is it too soon to kind of start looking at that, and do we need to just gradually get him there rather than try and force it into existence sooner than what it's ready for? I think I'd rather wait 3 or 4 games to get him up to speed via the games leading up to his full match fitness. Granted, he started against Norwich, but we got to understand Norwich are at a championship level. It's not a million miles away from Premier League level, but he's not exactly up to playing against your sort of bigger Premier League teams week in, week out. We don't know that yet. As long as he's definitely built, by the analysts, yeah, go for it. But if he's not quite ready yet, I am sort of cautious a little bit about that. And I feel like there have been a few games, the first couple of games of the season, where he has come on and he's not quite looked up to speed as of yet. But then at the same time, do we sort of throw him into there and see where he's at, or do we just play the game? At the end of the day, Glasnow's got a very excellent coaching team, so he's going to know that the answer to that question way more than us. I'm just got a bit of concerns that he may not be quite up to speed what we need him at this time. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
D, can I just add that, Mike, we spoke about yesterday during the player ratings. We really now have, and I've never felt this way ever about Palace, 4 very capable players that can play in the middle: Wharton, Decore, Hughes, and Lerma. And though my preference is always going to be Wharton, Decore, I think for this match, because Chelsea have Fernandez and Caicedo, who are very niggly, hard-attacking type of players, I wouldn't want to put Decore out there.
They haven't been great, though. I think
no,
we can
it's not that. It's not how they played. It's not how they played. It's how they play, the way they tackle, the way Caicedo is a very physical player, and so is Fernandez. I don't want Decore in that situation. Yeah, I'd rather have Lerma or definitely Hughes niggling in there, making those tackles. I think they're better suited. In the 4 or 5 months when he's 100%, Decore can handle himself. I'm a little worried about him against them. How have they been playing? I agree, they haven't played well. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the way they play, not how they're playing.
Yeah, look, I think it's a good debate to have. Good debate to have, whether to bring in Decore or not. But let's quickly touch on Chelsea. 6-2 win over Wolves. But I think if you did watch the game or seen the highlights, which I don't know who has, but I did watch the game. The first half in comparison to the second half, two different levels to Wolves and to Chelsea.
Yeah.
For me, the one thing that I noticed, even going into the season and even in that game, is that defensively they are vulnerable. However, in attack, they have got quality. They have got quality to hurt you. And adding the Norwich game, I don't know, let's see. But adding the Norwich game to the equation and seeing how we played there, especially in the second half, and seeing the strengths and weaknesses of Chelsea, I don't know why, but I've got this maybe, I don't know, some type of confidence that if we do play our game in terms of, we're not the type of team that's going to keep possession for possession's sake. We can sit back and close the gaps. But the one thing is, if Chelsea are weak in defense, we can hit them on the counter. That's what's giving me hope in this game. In terms of maybe there could be a chance because Glasner hasn't faced Chelsea before as well. But for you, when you look at Chelsea's strengths and weaknesses, do you think this is the type of game, of course, away from Stamford Bridge, that you wouldn't mind maybe 40 or 35% possession for the sake of, trying to hit them where it hurts rather than open up space where they can take advantage from?
I mean, to be completely honest with you, that's kind of what I'm expecting. Because, we've shown a propensity for one to play on the counter to this point. And against a team like Chelsea, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that again. So, yeah, probably that 60-40 split. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that. Once again, if we're going to play that way, when we get opportunities, we got to take them by the scruff of the neck, especially because, like you said, they have a defense that is susceptible to leaving things open. And if that's the case, if we can capitalize and maybe get a goal and put them in a tough situation where they have to press a little bit, maybe we can find ourselves in a better position. Maybe they make more mistakes. But, it's one of those things where the minute that we don't take the opportunities that we get, they'll capitalize on that because, yeah, like you said, they are really good going forward. They've got some quality guys in that final third, one of which it hurts my heart to see him out there doing his thing, and hopefully he doesn't kill us. But
yeah, Madueke. I mean, we were wanting him, and he ended up scoring a hat trick against Wolves.
Five goals since, like, I literally put out a tweet, and he scored 5 goals since then.
Also, I want to add to that. I mean, last season, what we saw was that teams were pretty much open against Palace. This season, the first 2 games especially, even in West Ham game, we kept more possession. Teams have been, sitting back a bit more and saying, let's try hurt us and try to break us down. And I think the advantage of the Chelsea game is I don't expect them to sit back. I think there'll be spacing behind. And look, from the outside looking in, I think this game tactically is perfectly set up for Palace to try to be successful to get something out of the game. There should be spacing behind. We're talking about a defense that's been shaky. And it will allow us to maybe sit back and hit them on the counter and press them in right moments. So in that aspect, AJ, it gives me a sign of, optimism. But we haven't beat them, as I said at the start, since 2017. And they have got Palmer, Madueke. Do you think we got enough in our defense to hold them back? Because, I mean, even Norwich created a few chances as well. But I guess that was on the counter.
Yes, I think it depends on what version of Chelsea we get, to be fair. The Chelsea aren't the Chelsea of old. Let's be completely honest here. I don't think, no, you're right. Glasner has not come up against this Chelsea team yet. I don't think this Chelsea team is still trying to just figure itself out and kind of understand who's going in, who's going out. There's a bit of kind of respect that I've got towards their new manager because obviously he set out his standard and he's obviously made it diplomatically clear out of those 50,000 players they've got there, the ones he wants in his sort of main first team. but I feel like they're still figuring themselves out, and I feel like there's still a few chinks in their armor. I don't think they're unbeatable, not by a long shot. I mean, granted, they had that result against Wolves, but Wolves got their own set of politics to worry about.
Yeah,
I think we could beat them. It just depends what version of us turns up. We have to want it. And the saving grace is, I think that we finally got the manager that is willing to take risks and instruct players to do certain things that will go for the win rather than play for a draw or play for specifically a counter-attack. Our defense is going to be very, very questionable, especially with Riyadh out of it. And obviously, if Lacroix does come, with Lacroix Duca coming through the door, we know that he's not 100% fit right now either. So we're going to have to kind of ride the storm a little bit, because it will be Gay doing it by himself. Obviously, Richards is in the equation.
Klein,
you got Klein that's really been. Klein had a good game. Ward is obviously an option. And obviously, there is that Rob Holding question mark, big question mark as well. So I don't think we're incapable of beating Chelsea, and I don't think we're incapable of keeping a clean sheet against them as well, because Henderson's in some very decent form as well.
Yeah. Let's go to score predictions now. It's going to be interesting, because Patrick, when I spoke to you last, you said, bro, come on. We're facing Chelsea. We're not going to... I mean, have you seen a record against us and Chelsea? That was your stance in terms of, the record was lingering on your mind, and rightly so. I mean, the record speaks for itself. But I'm going to start it off with a positive note. 1-1. I'm going 1-1. I think, as I said, for the reasons I've listed, I think the tactics, it suits us. We're coming off a morale boost. And not only just that, in the second half, we saw glimpses of the old Palace, especially being clinical and scoring goals. Eze, Nketiah, Kamada, all involved. We are ideally set up to face Chelsea. Look, we're still the underdogs. We can easily still lose this game. But there's a bit of confidence in me that thinks that we could potentially get a result. Let's go around now. Patrick, talk to me. Chelsea, Stamford Bridge. Can we done what we've done in 2017? I believe.
You do this all the time. Seriously, you're just so funny. One, you misquote me, and then you come up with these wild predictions about we're gonna do this and the other. Listen, man, just reality hits hard. Again, you're talking about the 13 game you haven't beaten them. It's 14, including the FA Cup. And not only did they beat us, they usually beat us like in the last minute, like last year when Gallagher scored it and Fernandez scored it, and the time then Ziyech scored 89th minute. They don't just beat us; they beat us like in the worst possible way. Chelsea's a team that we never, again, 2017, Aspie an own goal and a goal by Zaha, 2-1. We just don't beat Chelsea. And as much as I think we're definitely heading the right track with Glasner, we are early in the season, and this team just scored 6 goals. They're playing Servette as we record in the Europa League. Who knows what we're going to do against them. I just don't have a confidence. I would love to come here and say, oh, yeah, they're not that good. They're probably not as good as they're going to be, but they're still a very good side. And going forward, they're scary. They are just scary. I mean, Cole Palmer, Madueke, even Jackson's decent. And then we didn't even talk about João Felix and Neto come off the bench. Bro, that's a scary team going forward. And we don't have like our set team. And I think AJ said Henderson's playing well. He has conceded, I think, 4 goals in 2 league matches. But whatever. He had a clean sheet against Norwich. So I'm going to go, just be honest. I'm going to say Chelsea 3, Palace 1. We'll get a goal, but I don't see us getting anything out of this game. I hope we get a point, but I don't see it. I just don't see it. Still early in the season for us.
See?
I'll say a 2-2 draw. I think it'd be a fun match, and I think we'll actually get out to a 2-1 lead, and they'll come back in Chelsea fashion and tie it late.
AJ. AJ struggling.
Just because I'm struggling. Just to be different and just to wind up Patrick.
No, be yourself.
We're gonna win. No. 2-1. Mateta brace.
Look.
Watch it.
A guy you always rated, by the way, so good. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Mateta brace. Love it.
So have I. But let us know your score predictions in the comment section down below. If you rate Nketiah, please hit the like button. If you rate Edward, hit the like button. If you rate Glazer, hit the like button. If you rate anyone, any single player in our team, you have to hit the like button. If you don't like the video, then you don't rate at least one player from Crystal Palace. Well, that's it from me, Patrick T and AJ. I'm going for 1-1. Predictions are all over the place. We got defeat, we got wins, we got draws. Only time will tell. But that's it from us, Anatole. Next time, up the Palace.